Today we're going to experiment with some different rocket designs in Kerbal Space Program 2, and we're going to look for a very fuel efficient setup that allows us to travel further with less fuel. If you like to explore the depth of space, then you want to hear about today's sponsor, Farpoint. Farpoint makes everything you need for stargazing and astrophotography. Whether you're new to the hobby or if you're a veteran astronaut, Farpoint has what you need. Do you have an old DSLR that you want to breathe some new life into? Get one of their compact double reflectors, perfect for capturing deep sky objects like the Pleiades or the Orion Nebula. Go to farpoint.d2a.com and start your space adventure today. For those who are used to the Kerbal Space Program game, you will know that there are different rocket designs, and making small changes to it can have a huge impact on your effectiveness of your rocket. And we're going to test if some of those build techniques also work here in Kerbal Space Program 2. So to test it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a simple lander here, a simple, tin can. We're just going to launch it straight up and come straight back down again. And we're going to see how high we can go with different types of designs without adding extra tanks, but just rearranging them in a clever way. The first thing I want to do here is just take a very straightforward, simple design here. Let's just put a tank on. Let's just take a Reliant engine, put that on there. And then we're going to put some radial decouplers in, just put those in down here close to the bottom. And then maybe some smaller fuel tanks around the perimeter. And those are the ones we're going to be using for some of the testing. For those who are used to Kerbal, you will know exactly what's going to happen here in a second. And then we're going to put, again, Reliant engine under those there. Okay, maybe just for good measures, let's put a nose cone. Okay, that's our test craft here. So basically, all engines are go at once, all 7 engines. When the outer ones run out of fuel, which they will first, we're going to ditch those and then continue on the second stage all the way up. No fuel transfer between the tanks, just up and away. So that's the plan. Let's go ahead, let's launch this, see how far we can get. And there we go, off like a rocket. I guess that's self-explanatory, but anyway, as I said, no control inputs. We're gonna keep going straight up, and we're just gonna keep going until we are out of fuel. And our outer engines are about to run out of fuel. There, then we ditch them, and we continue only on the center stage. The center stage is about to run out of fuel as well. We are up at 60 kilometers with very good speed here. There we go, we are out of fuel. How far did we get? We got an apoapse of 3,247 kilometers. Now that is quite far, but I think we can do better than that. So the first thing we're going to do to make our build slightly more efficient is we're going to use these fuel lines. And all we're really gonna do is we're gonna re-enable our 6-way symmetry. 6-way symmetry, there we go. And we're just gonna basically allow the fuel to be transferred from the outer tanks and into the inner tank. This means that we're gonna drain the outer tanks slightly faster as they're now feeding fuel in to keep the center one topped off. But also means when we are ditching the outer tanks, the center tank should still be full, giving us more time with that center stage, but less time with the outer stages. Let's see what kind of change this makes to our flight. And we are off again. Full speed ahead. And there we go. Outer stages are off. And now we're just on the center stage. And if we saw there, just as we separated them, we could see that we had a full fuel tank, even though the UI was a little glitched doing the initial stage. It was full when we did the staging. So let's keep going upwards and let's see how far we get this time around. Okay, here we go. We are past the old one. We are way past the old one. In fact, we actually escaped the Kerbal sphere of influence completely, and we got a new apoapse out here of 27 million kilometers. That is then, of course, from the Kerbal star and not from Kerbal, the planet itself. But as you can see here, we got way more. Just adding those fuel lines gave us way more. But we can do even better than that. For the next design here, we're just going to get rid of the old fuel lines as we saw here, and we're going to build what is called an asparagus design. This was hugely popular in the original Kerbal, and I'm wondering if that's going to work in this one too. So first we're going to get rid of our symmetry and just have a simple one-way symmetry. And what we're going to do is we're going to make like a swirly pattern. So where this one feeds into that one, and then that one feeds into that one, and then it feeds into the center tank. Like so. And then we're going to repeat, so you kind of see it feeds like that. And then we're just going to do the same thing over here, where this feeds into that one. This feeds into that one. And finally, that one into the center tank. So looking at it from above, we can kind of see how the fuel flows around here, counterclockwise, and then into the second tank. Now, we need to be a lot more careful with our staging now. So I'm trying to split this group out, as we need to control our staging a little bit more carefully now, but it won't let me. I guess that's something they're hopefully gonna add. You can see if I try to drag one out, let's say I make a new group down here. If I drag this out there, it just drags it, all of it, into the group and not just one, which is what I want. Okay, so by adding everything with two-way symmetry instead of six-way symmetry, I did manage to split it up. I really hope that's something they're going to fix later on in the game, unless I just don't know how to do this. But anyway, I made it work now. So now you can see we have the same swirling pattern with the starting out here, putting fuel into that, and then fuel into the center. And then it is, of course, mirrored on the opposite side, where this one puts fuel in here, puts fuel in here, puts fuel into the center. And if you look at the staging, we have all 7 engines firing on the first stage. On the second stage, we ditch the end tanks, the ones at the end of the chain. The next stage ditches the next set, and then we ditches the last set, and then we're back on the center engine. And that means that every time we ditch a set, we should see that that the next set should be full when we move on to that stage. So let's see how much altitude we get out of it this time. And off we go! We should see that first 2 tanks empty. You can see them there at the top, how quickly we're losing fuel in those, and also they're burning at different rates. But as soon as we go and stage these 2 first tanks in a second, we should see all of them fill up again. Let's see if it works. Okay, not quite. I'm not sure if this is a UI thing, but let's see if it has an effect on our final altitude. Next staging. Away where they go. And the last 2 gone. Okay, and we're on the center stage. Let's see how far we get this time. We're about halfway through the center stage, and aPERAPS is rising. And it keeps going, and we are interplanetary. Let's see how much further we get this time. Look at that. There we go. So last time it was at around 27, and this time we are at 33 million kilometers, meaning we gained an additional 5 million kilometers on our aPERAPS just by making that asparagus design in that swirly pattern. The more tanks you have on the outside, the more efficient this gets. Those were some tips and tricks if you are using liquid-fueled side boosters for your rockets, how you can set up the fuel transfer between them to get more delta V, get more efficient rocket that uses less fuel that will carry you further into space. And if you want to see more Kerbal Space Program videos, then go down and subscribe to the channel below.